Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like and share this video. So I came across a short video of how to make an underbust corset and decided to try one myself. So I went ahead to get my pattern paper. First I'll be using the fully measurement. My waist measurement is 29 and the length for the front piece will be 9 while the length for the back piece will be 8. So I went ahead to mark my first measuring point. And I'm remarking this with a marker to just make it a bit bold so you can see. So after marking this point, I'll start taking my measurement from this point. So I went ahead to mark out my waist measurement that I've divided by 2, because I'll be marking this on fold. I'll be marking all of this piece on fold. So I'm dividing my total measurement by 2, which is like 4, because I'll be drafting both the front and the back pattern together up on this same pattern paper at the same time. So I'll be marking, my measurement is on 2 folds, so not 4, because I'll be marking the front and the back together. So I went ahead to get the midpoint of my pattern paper. You can just use a midpoint like randomly, but make sure that your line is falling at the middle of the paper. So this midpoint is going to serve as a guideline for every other measurement you would be taking. The midpoint to serve as a guideline. So you just have to make sure the midpoint is very much straight, like it's aligning on both ends. So after getting my midpoint, I went ahead to divide this pattern in 2, that is for the front and for the back. And for the front, I'll be adding 1 inches from the total measurement, because the front is quite bigger than the back. Front is quite bigger than the back, so I'll be adding 1 inches extra to it and leaving the remaining part for the back. So there's no need to add anything to the back. So after adding that 1 inches extra to the front, you don't need to add anything to the back. Whatever measurement is left is what you will use for the back. Remember, we are using our total measurement. We're not adding any allowance for that intake, just 5 inches allowance for the front, for the sewing allowance, and for the boning casing. So we'll be adding 5 inches allowance, and that's because I didn't have 5 inches because our pattern is going to be a 5-piece corset. We have other like 6 or more or less piece part of corset, but this is going to be a 5-piece corset, so I'm adding 5 inches. So at this point I went ahead to confirm the measurement of my back to see if everything tallies. So at the midpoint I went ahead to mark the length of the front piece. The front piece is 9 inches, so this is why you need your midpoint, so you can place your tape at the middle and just mark it out. So I marked out my length for the front piece, which is 9. I marked that out at the upper part and also at the lower part, 9 inches. Remember, 9 for all of it, including the sewing allowance as well. So the same goes for the back. I got the midpoint of my back piece, because the back is just going to be in 2 pieces, while the front will be divided into 3 pieces. I hope you understand and I hope you are following. So I divided my back piece in two, and that's just that for the back. Nothing really serious is happening here because we're not taking any dart intake because we are not adding any allowance for the back. So it's not really necessary since we're using our exact measurement. So at this point, I'll be marking the back length. I'm marking the back length, which is 8, just an inch shorter than the front rather, just an inch shorter. Then at the front piece, I went in by 1 inch just so I can start my curve. And please, you can curve this anyhow you like. You can make any pattern, any shape you like, anything that suits you, any shape that suits you for this. But for me, this is the shape I'll be going by, just like a flat C. Yes, this is a flat C. I'll call this a flat C for the upper part, and a flat, will I call this S now? A very flat S for the lower part. Yes, a very flat S for the lower part. So I just went ahead to use my curve ruler to just shaping this a little, to just give it that curve, now freehand, but I'm using the ruler to just give it a little bit of curve, to just make it more curvy, but this is the shape I'll be going with, and this is the shape I'll be working with. So you can use any shape of your choice, you can do anything, you can play around with it, whatever suits you. So after curving this, I'll just go ahead to connect this to the back. But before I do that, I'll be marking out the placing for the boning and the shape I want the front piece to take. So I'm just marking that out before actually ruling it out. I'm just saying, so if it's too small, if it's too big, I can adjust. So you can just use your marker or your pencil to just initially mark it out first to see how it's going to look like before actually cutting it out or marking it out on your pattern paper. So I went ahead to join the front and the back together. I've joined the front and the back together using my ruler. And note, the back can be smaller but not bigger. The back can be smaller but not bigger. So afterwards, I went ahead to rule out the shape that I decided to go with. I found this comfortable, so I decided to go with this shape of piece and the pattern of boning. Remember, you can always place your bone in it whichever way you like. So I went at the sideline, I went ahead to give my side seam a bit of curve. So at the midpoint, I went out and in by 0.5 inch. It's not up to an inch, 0.5 inch. So I connected this point to the upper part and lower part, just like you're making your dart, leg. So I connected this. I connected it to the lower part and the upper part on both sides, which is the front and the back. So after doing this, I went ahead to give this a bit of a curve with my marker. And since this is an underbust corset, you don't really need a full measurement. You don't need your full measurement. It's an underbust corset, so yeah, this is one way you can draft it. There are so many ways, but this is the one I'm trying out. So I went ahead to label my piece so I would not get confused after putting this pattern in pieces. That's my center back, my side back, center front, and center side. That is front side. You can also call that front side. So I went ahead to label this numerically. Like I said, this is in 5-piece. This is a 5-piece underbust corset. So I numbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So after putting these pieces out, I can easily locate them and not get them mixed up, because some of this pattern would look alike. So trust me, you don't want to mix it up. So I went ahead to just make my lines a bit bolder so I won't make any mistakes while taking this pattern out. So at this point, I decided to start cutting out my patterns. Please, you would want to be very careful while cutting out your patterns, depending on the kind of pattern paper you're using. The one I'm using is quite fragile, so I don't want to mess up my patterns. I don't want to mess up my lines. So I took my time, being very careful, very, very careful. So just cut out your patterns and you are done. And please note, you can use any shape and any length for your underbust corset. Just do whatever suits you, whatever you desire. Make sure the back is not longer than the front. The front can be longer, that is the length can be longer than the front, but the back should not be longer than the front. It can be the same size but not longer. So I went ahead to cut them out like this before separating the front pattern from the back pattern. So now I went ahead to separate my front pattern from the back, and please make sure you give every edge a little bit of a curve, because you don't want to have a very sharp edge. So I separated the pattern first. I separated them first. That's the front and the back, and I went ahead to cut out the curve. After fixing your eyelet and everything, you would want to give your waist a bit of a snatch, so that's where your snatching will come in. So I went ahead to divide all of the pieces. As for the front, that I've numbered as 1, 2, and 3. I've separated them. Please make sure you number them before separating them, because if you want to number them or label them before separating them, you can make a mistake, and mistakes are to be avoided. Well, if you number them before cutting it out, you're definitely not going to make any mistake, because you already know what you numbered and where you numbered. So after cutting this out, I went ahead to label again. You can also add on your labeling that you'll be cutting this on folders. You can just go ahead to put +2 or ×2, just to notify that you'll be cutting this on fold. You'll be cutting not all of this on fold, just the center piece. You'll be cutting the center piece. That's number 1. Number 1 is going to be on fold. But every other piece, you'll be cutting them in 2 places. They are not on fold. So I made a mistake on that front piece. That's on number 1. Thank God I labeled it number 1. So on number 1, you'll be cutting it on fold. That is no separation. It will be on fold. Number 1 will be on fold, while every other piece will be on 2. Will be cut on 2 fold, not on fold, but will be in 2 places. That is, you fold your fabric into and cut them out. So thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section if you'll be trying this out, and thank you. Please don't forget to like this video, share and subscribe.